All right, here we go. So, good morning, YouTube. In today's video, just gonna be chilling. I have some work to do, so in between questions, I'll be kind of looking at some client stuff and um, also be talking about like boxing, MMA, power building, and its relationship to that. Reason why is just I was bored, wanted to, and I like I said, I've been talking about it for quite a while, like trying to branch out, and I'm thinking about how I want to do it. Part of it is like I feel like I can't really like even more so with something like self-defense, boxing, MMA. I need to actually get training footage for that. So that means I'll have to like take a camera and be mindful of that. But w- where I do that, that's going to be something because like for one, the gym I go to train, it's not like they're against it, but it's just the way like the scheduling is set up and like the way the classes are set up, not really the most conducive for it. And I don't want to yeah, so just trying to think about where I would go for it. So maybe just out in the street, and make street fighting a legitimate thing. But anyway, when I do want to get into the questions that were asked on the community post that I made. Um, made it, I think it was yesterday, right? Talking about like some questions that some people would have, so that way people who couldn't attend the live stream were able to then have it. So if you're joining in just now, welcome to the live stream. Going to be talking about a bunch of different training topics. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll prioritize the ones that come up, but I do want to make sure I attend to the ones that were in the community post. So let's see. Okay, let me go to the community post actually. But how's everyone doing? How's your morning so far? Like, is the chat working? Let's see. This example. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder. Let's see if anyone's posting in the chat. I actually can't see it. Chat with everyone in the studio. Comments. Let's see. Something might be going awry. Let's see. All right, there we go. Chat's working. Chat's working. Hey, what's up, Cameron? And I'm doing well. I woke up this morning with some allergies, so a little congested, some coughing. So I'm not gonna lie though, a lot of my friends have been getting it lately, and like the big sick, the name brand sickness, the name brand flu. So the thing is, like, I'm a very hermit like person. I go to work, I go to the gym, and I come home. So if I did get it, I'd be kind of surprised. But then at the same time, I'm also punching people in the face, like for conditioning reasons. But yeah, so let's see. Let's start with this one. Like I'm starting from top to bottom on the community post. Just because it's easier. So I want to take up judo, but I'm wondering if it would hinder my recovery performance for lifting. Let me see if I can actually just copy and paste this into the chat, so that way I can like. Mm-hmm. All right. This question comes from Screw Rack P. That would sound like a pretty good rapper name. I want to take up judo, but I'm wondering if it would hinder my recovery / performance for lifting. Do I have to prioritize one over the other, or can I maximize my performance for both? So there's actually a good amount of questions, very similar to this one, when it came to adding in things like martial arts training to your already existing lifting program. And yes, it will most definitely hinder your recovery and performance for lifting if you train it as intensely. Now, judo, depending on where you go, right? So some judo schools are incredibly, I guess you could say, active, or are incredibly, how else do I want to say this word? They spar essentially. Like they actually do live rounds, and they genuinely practice and work hard on that kind of stuff. And if you're training in that way, yes, it will most definitely hinder your training, your recovery and performance. If you take it a bit more slowly, a bit more mildly, like you're only working on technique, you could make an argument that it's not going to impact you that much, but it's still an activity. Anything in life is a form of stress, good stress, bad stress. But it's something that will take up your time, your effort, your energy, and it's something that's going to be necessary for you to recover from. So yes, it will most definitely affect your recovery for lifting. And if you want to maximize performance for both, generally speaking, what's going to benefit you the most is to just already become really, really good at one versus the other. The reason why something like power building can exist even slightly is because size and strength are so closely related. And whether you are a power lifter or you are a bodybuilder, you have to manage that relationship between size and strength. You have to train with both of them in mind. Whereas with something like judo is not a hypertrophic endeavor. Sorry about that. So they're two totally separate things. It's why an interference effect kind of exists between running and strength training. But when it comes to, let's say, strength training in general, which I would categorize strength training as, being bodybuilding or powerlifting as like two forms of strength training, because they're so closely related, you're going to be fine for the most part. So if you want to maximize performance in both, get really, really good at one to whichever level you are happy with, and then put that on maintenance as you pursue the other thing. That's really the only thing that you can do. So there's that. RJ started doing capoeira. Nice, dude. Like, where are you at to do that? Because, like, honestly, like capoeira, like, it's really dope. It's really cool. But I feel like most of the people who pick it up, they already have a relative who knows how to do it. Because I don't really see many schools for it. So that's awesome. Like, it's really dope, really cool. Great way to stay fit. So that's really dope. And yeah, it just looks cool. Like, if you knock someone out doing that kind of stuff, like that'd be mad awesome. Any Simmers, what's up, man? Watching outside, enjoying some sunshine. Nice, dude. Like touching some grass, getting some vitamin D from the source. I like it. Just watered the garden and the lawn. Nice, man. Good Saturday right there. PBX, welcome back to the live chat. Yeah, like here we are again. So, thoughts on using the sling for bench press? The sling, like the slingshot, like Mark Bell's slingshot. I have one. I got one for their Black Friday sale because they made it in black. I haven't used it. I know it's like used as like an overload variation. Like you can, overload the pecs, provided a new stimulus and everything like that. So on paper, it sounds like something that would most definitely work. And I'm not disputing that because, like I said, I don't use it. But what I'm trying to say is like I'm getting good results without it right now. So me needing to do it is pretty diminished. I'm making great results without it, so I don't think it's necessary. But with that being said, I do think I could make results with it also. So I think it's an overall good thing. A lot of people stand by it, and oftentimes when it comes to things of that nature, it would be useful to trust that body of evidence. Expenses aside, would you try historical European martial arts, or is it either too violent or history related for you? No, I mean, all martial arts are a form of controlled violence, like, and then history related. No, I love history. Like almost every single video game that I play, like, has like some historical like level to it. Like, huge Dynasty Warriors fan, huge Total War fan, Age of Empires, things of that stuff. Like, so I'm a huge history nerd when it comes to a lot of things. Historical European martial arts, I think they're cool and stuff like that. As far as like, here's my thing. If I'm going to do something as far as like train for it, I would want it to kind of have like some type of practical purpose. With the extension of, I guess, well, no, there is a most definitely a practical purpose to bodybuilding, and that's like, being proud of yourself when you look in the mirror, and when you take your shirt off, or when you're in clothes, or whatever it is that your mental image of your own body that you would like, so long as it's free of like, pretty bad like dysmorphias or anything like that. But would I try it? Sure. I don't really know if there's any near me. I mean, I also haven't looked. But yeah, if the opportunity presented itself, I probably would try it just to see what's up. But at the same time, like, I like to fight for fitness, but not, well, I'll get into that in a bit. But I like to fight for conditioning, but also because it's just fun. Like one of the first activities that I've ever done uh, before lifting was like martial arts. So I have a huge soft spot for it. But yeah, would I try it? It's not too violent. I mean, like I find it hard to think of anything that's like more violent than another. I mean, the only thing that kind of happens when it comes to a more violent martial art is when you have an instructor who just completely shocks and surprises the person they're demonstrating on, which is something that I think happens a lot with like self-defense instructors. So that's it. PBX, do you use anything? Elbow sleeves, wrist wraps, etc. Right now, I only use wrist wraps, lifting straps, or Versa grips, and a belt. That's really all I'm using right now. I used to use like all the elbow sleeves and knee sleeves and all that kind of stuff when I was doing conjugate because I forgot what I was watching. I want to say it was a Alex Leonidas video helping along that rebranding. Um, but I don't think it was him. I just for some reason in my mind I remember it that way, where it said like I'm not competing, so why not get more out of my training by using these tools? But at the same time, like when you start adding those things, they start padding your numbers. So not by much. Like you still have the strength and muscle size underneath that, under whatever equipment you use, but I thought to myself, like, well, I'm not really competing at the moment, so why shouldn't I try to get more out of my training by using belts and whatever? But more lately, I'm just like, you know what? Like, putting all that stuff on takes some time. I know it's not too much, but at the same time, it's not as important to me. And I mean, I can always add those things back in, but when it comes to your strength, when it comes to your muscle size, those are things that you have to. Those are things you have to. Let's see. Those are things you have to build slowly over time. That's what I'm trying to say. Sambo looks pretty dope. I don't know why, but when I hear Sambo, I think of like those those like what are those cassette tapes you put into a TV and then um put them into a TV and like it's like those fitness things that moms would like have like in their like leotards and like yoga mats and stuff like that. So I don't know why that's what I hear. Like if there's like actual Sambo guys, I know there's like um who want to kick my ass, then cool. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to disrespect it. I just like for some reason that's just what I hear. But like I haven't really seen a lot of a sambo. Like for the most part, when it comes to martial arts that I've been engaging with more recently. Of course, the standard ones: Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, wrestling, boxing. Um, every now and then I'll meet a Sanda guy, which is just Chinese kickboxing. Um, once in a while, and like all the other traditional martial arts stuff like karate, um Russian grappling. I forgot what it, yeah, sambo. Yeah, okay, now I remember. Like what Khabib does, right? Like that's what it's called. I don't know why. I was thinking that there was like a different word for it. So my bad. Yeah, they most definitely could beat my ass. Like any kind of grappler most likely can just fuck me up. HEMA, historical European martial arts, is literally teaching you how to effectively kill someone with weapons, while other martial arts focus on either on art or self-defense. I mean, I understand the sentiment, but so there's a couple different things I can like focus on here. So when it comes to a martial art, right? So something that's involved with like the actual art of, and it's not the art of fighting, right? It's like an actual martial art where it's like there's it's a style of training. There's discipline to it. There's a lineage behind it. There's a spirit behind it and stuff of that nature. Like and you're strengthening your body, strengthening your mind, kind of stuff. So when it comes to the art style, sure. I mean, because the thing is, like, oftentimes when an art solely focuses on the art form and like and it's not really being put to the test, like whether in competition or in sparring, because sparring and competition will just weed away the bullshit. Then maybe when it comes to self defense, the thing is, like, when it comes to self-defense and you're using something like that, you have a chance of succeeding at self-defense or succeeding at murder, because at some point you could become the aggressor in the situation, where you are now the one basically in power in that moment, and you continuing from that point on is actually you just, you know, breaking the law. Like, that's some of the weird things. It just depends on the self-defense laws in your state. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, there's a lot of different martial arts that do that exact same thing. Filipino martial arts guys will argue the exact same thing, that they, like, you know, the reason why they train with sticks is because it transfers over to knives, or or eskrima kali, whatever you want to call it. There's that to it. Karate, they had a weapons part of their training for the longest time, but then, like, when it became adopted by the Japanese government as a form of Japanese boxing, a lot of that fell to the wayside, because, you know, judo existed, jiu-jitsu existed, and every other martial art. So things started to be shaved off when it became adopted. Let's see. I mean, do you really need that much training with a baseball bat? I guess that's what I'm trying to say there. Fedor 2, yeah, nice. Favorite Dragon Ball Z transformation? So honestly, Super Saiyan 4. It just looks cool. So let me get back into the questions in the community post. Let's see. This one's actually a big one. So this one's by Dylan and Dregic. So he shares with us his story of what happened to him and everything like that. So first and foremost, I suffered a humiliating loss 2 years ago in my first amateur MMA fight. My opponent neck cranked me, and the referee thought I was asleep and ended the fight super early in the first round, but Askren style. In February, I will be competing in MMA tournament. The same opponent who dismantled me in 40 seconds in my first fight will be in my bracket. He came in really strong and overpowered me in every exchange we had. I'm currently working with a Westside Barbell coach, and I'm trying to build as much strength as possible while being able to make it down to the 60 kilogram weight class I fight at. Would you recommend dieting and maintaining a weight close to 60 kilograms all the way up to the fight day? Or since I have time, I should eat at a surplus while there's still 6 months until my fight? And then when I'm about to fight in a month or so before I fight, I begin dieting and cutting weight. So, all right. First, I want to, there's more to this question, but I want to talk about this one first. Ideally, right? In an ideal world, ideal situation, this doesn't always happen, because some people, like a lot of fighters, they're fighting significantly below their weight class, or their walking weight, I should say. Like, I have friends who they walk around 180, 190, but they fight at 140. So the advice that I'm about to give is incredibly impractical. So ideally, in my opinion, I would actually see you be either at caloric maintenance, or actually going into a surplus into your competition. So let's say, for example, you fight at 60 kilograms, you cut down to maybe 55-ish, and then you add calories back in leading up to your fight. Oftentimes, like I said, you don't get that option for a bunch of different reasons. Let's see, for a bunch of different reasons, whether it be your manager, your strength and conditioning coach. And like, here's the thing, your strength and conditioning coach is different from like your actual training coach, like your fighting coach, essentially. So sometimes you don't really get that option, but ideally that's what I would like to see, so that way you would actually be like, you're not going to suffer from all that weight loss that you had to go through. But like I said, you don't always get that option, especially if you're fighting in a weight class that's significantly lower than your walking weight. I do like that you're working with a Westside Barbell coach. I think Westside Barbell, Louis Simmons, he had some of the greatest training manuals ever to exist. He was just a pure athletic training genius. He has a lot of different stuff for running, and I think I think he might have some stuff there. Also, Andy Baker, he has a video talking about barbell training in MMA. I think it's a great watch for anyone interested in that also. But yeah, ideally, come down, like you have the time, but yeah, I would prefer that you actually don't do and also I wouldn't do this either. I wouldn't do an aggressive bulk either, and then try to cut down even more aggressively. I would rather just slowly maintain, try to improve your performance in the gym. Maybe have a slow lean bulk, so that way when you do have to cut down and cut weight, that it doesn't affect you that much. I wouldn't be too afraid of getting too big. It takes a while to build up that kind of muscle. And if you are training with just a max effort method, the speed work, which could be useful for, of course, hypertrophy skill, strength skill, explosiveness, and not putting on too much muscle mass because it's just not enough volume close to failure. And then you're really specific, or at least really targeted in your isolation or compound work for bodybuilding, like overall strength training, then that should be fine. What's your opinion on Westside Barbell program as applied to combat sports? I think it's better than most others. The thing is, like, this is something I kind of don't like about a lot of strength and conditioning coaches, is that they try to make your strength and conditioning work in the gym look like what you do in your sport. So, for example, putting cables on a leg press and rowing as you're leg pressing. I understand the sentiment behind it, full body training and whatnot kind of stuff. In my opinion, and maybe they'll like enlighten me or educate me because I'm a fucking Neanderthal and I don't work with nearly as many clients as them. Sometimes I have my suspicion that they work with these clients not because they're so great at what they do, but because they're the biggest, most available name in their niche, and as a result, their methods become more acceptable because like they're being associated with these bigger names. But I don't necessarily think that's credit to what they're doing, just more so that they're the most successful in their niche. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, right, there are some movements that are going to be much more specific to sport. That's not going to look like what you would do in the gym. But here's my thing, and I know it's a long tangent. Keep your general training general. Like if you're training your general capacities for strength, endurance, strength, even hypertrophy, don't try to mix it in with like all the other stuff, because then now you're getting less of both. Like I said, reason why power building can kind of exist or kind of stand is because size and strength are so closely related. But let's look at the demands of your fight, right? There's a technical aspect to it, and then there's also your general fitness side of it. Trying to mix in both is going to hurt each of them much worse than trying to mix size and strength. So that's something really worth noting. I've had absolutely no exposure to the program before working with this coach, and we're only 1 week in. I just hope that he is intelligent in his exercise rotations, how much time he puts in with each one, and kind of goes around it that way. Let's see if you stream out of mind. It's all part of my story. Hey man, like I really do appreciate how open you are though. But remember, like you really are like someone, like big respect. It's kind of like, start where you stand kind of thing. Like, it's all right to lose your, like, even if you lose your first amateur fight, there's no reason that will stop you from winning your next one and the next one, right? The most important thing is like to keep that mindset of a winner, and that's how you start where you stand, So a couple things came into the chat while I was dealing with that, or not dealing with that, but like answering that question, because it was a great question and I loved answering it. How to organize training, volume, and intensity when doing manual labor outside? Always. This is really all about like you fine-tuning what you need. So when it comes to organizing your training, how many days are you working out? 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week? From there, you kind of can decide like what split will work best for you. Volume and intensity, that's very personal. So what I would do is just always start on the lower end of things. So let's say like, common recommendations are 8, like some say 20 to 10 to 20 sets per body part per week. I think 8 to 15 is probably fine, especially if you're training with more intensity. But if you are going about that, start with the lower end, start at 8, start at 10 sets, start at 8 sets per week. And then if that's making you, if you're able to make progress, then stay there. Like adding in volume on top of that too prematurely is not going to do much for you. You're not going to get much more gains. You're just going to tire yourself out faster. If you adapt to the 8 sets, push those 8 sets hard, you're getting 8 quality sets of work. And then you then add on top of that because you need more, because out of a need, you have to add volume. That's totally different. So, and then for your intensity, if you are already fatigued as a result of your manual labor, then maybe the intensity can be dialed down, and as a result, volume is like rises to compensate. So it's all about a give and take, a compensation, and a general give and take for these variables, but it's something that you have to test, experiment, and go from there. Let's see. However, cardio, I was the AF. 10% below, it was ridiculous. Yeah, cyclists, the amount of mileages that they do and just how long they're on the bike, you can definitely see that. Not a fan. Honestly, like, I just want to get to like that 18, 20. I'm like, my thing is this, like, I'm actually not too, like, I have nothing but respect for people with abs and whatnot. It's really dope. It's just not for me. Out of a variety of different things, out of things that I like to do, out of the way I like to feel, and just being completely honest with how I live my life and whatnot, I don't need to get down that low in body fat. It's not really necessary for me. I've been learning a fair bit about Mike Tyson. He's actually quite interesting. At least I think he seems really fast for his weight class, at least to me. He also seems really smart for boxing. He was a genius. Like, he was a physical phenom and a genius. Part of it too was just because he also put in an absolute insane amount of work, like thousands upon thousands of hours. So he was just in a class of his own when he was competing. Monkey bars every day. What's up, bro? Yep. How important is footwork when you first starting? Should you work more on the jab technique or moving around first? So they go hand in hand. They really do. The thing is, so when it comes to footwork, right? You have a lot of old school guys who will say things like, "Oh, we didn't throw a punch for a whole year because we just worked on footwork." And like, yeah, their footwork is good, but like, and I get the sentiment of the story, like, like, you master one thing at a time, and I get that, right? But sufficiently good enough is a noteworthy point. And also, here's the other thing: how you jab will kind of affect it, and you can train them like at the same time with not that big of a deal. Like, I do train some clients with like boxing instructing, so we work on footwork a lot. Everything starts with the feet. Like, when we're starting our drills, when we're starting our warm up, we always work on footwork first, and then we add in the punches to that to try to, and then we keep the footwork pristine, because then that's kind of like your assessment. That's kind of your test. Can you keep your footwork while punching? Can you keep your footwork while doing defensive movements like slips or rolls? Can you throw combinations and still have your feet underneath you and be balanced? So how important is footwork when first starting? It's crucial. The thing is, it's so important at any level of your advancement. There's no one with no one has mastered footwork so much that they can't improve it, because when it comes to how you would act in a fight, in sparring, when you're pushing to the absolute limit, um, the amount of hours that you spend on it is only going to benefit you. Yeah, so I think that, there's that. You can't just, like, not avoid it and just like say it'll take care of itself. 100% not. There's a lot of people who I know for a fact would benefit from just having better footwork. But then at the same time, if you kind of think to yourself like, oh, I'm just going to work on footwork for an entire year, and I'm not accusing you of that, I'm just saying that there's literally boomers out there who will say that, and then they'll force that onto their clients, and then at the end of the session they're like, okay, just so that way you guys can keep paying me money, I'm going to teach you a little bit of punching. And it's just like, holy shit. There's definitely a middle answer in between there, and that is, be very deliberate in your practice when you're doing footwork. Then when you are adding in the punches, be very cognizant of not leaving your footwork behind. So recording yourself is very important. Fighting is fun. Yeah, it is. It's incredibly fun, as long as you have good sparring partners too. Like, we're not trying to like fucking hurt each other. I personally don't like to fight like real fights. That's sparring is fine. I don't care if I get called a wimp. I just like a real scrap is all. Yeah, dude, fighting is fucking stressful for one. Like, it's fucking unnecessary. It's fucking stressful. But at the same time, like, if you are in a situation where you have to, it's good to know how. So one thing I always tell people too is, like, don't go thinking that like people are gonna congratulate you for winning a fight. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen afterwards, like legal issues and whatnot. So I wouldn't be too caught up in it. Like I said, I mainly do it for, not mainly do it, like, do it for conditioning. Conditioning is a big aspect of why I do it. I do personally like martial arts and fighting and like all that kind of stuff. I do enjoy it. It's fun, and you should have an element of fun in your training, whether you are lifting weights, bodybuilding, whatever. There should be an element of fun in your training, and that applies to martial arts for me as well. I just find it fun. But actual real fighting, like being in a encounter or a situation like that, I would just walk away, get away from there. Like the only time I feel like is necessary to throw hands is if getting away, if getting away is literally not an option unless you put hands on that person, then maybe in that scenario, I'm sure people can think of a bunch of different random scenarios in in their minds that will test that. But yeah, fighting is fun. All right, let's see. What do you consider training like a Saiyan? I'd say holistic approach to bodybuilding, strength conditioning, martial arts, but also pairing energy class. Yeah, that sounds about right. Bodybuilding, strength training, conditioning, all that's super important. And then martial arts on top of that. I would say that's like how you would train like a Saiyan. Just getting bigger is not a way to win fights. I mean, it kind of is though. All right. This is actually a really important point. If you are bigger and stronger, you are more likely to win a fight. There's no such thing as a martial art that benefits a person who's weaker and smaller. If a person has the skill set and then they add fitness on top of that, they will win. And sometimes a person can be so incredibly strong and fit that that's just enough, or maybe they're just athletic enough. They have a athletic inclination, and that's just enough to, not lose a fight. So that's a really important thing. Wanted to put that out there. What's my squat, bench, and deadlift? My best squat, all-time best squat, 405. And it's been quite a while. I have to be completely honest with you. Last time I hit 405, it was a long time. It's like almost been a year now. Part of it is just because like squats, huge mental barrier for me. And also just a plethora of like different injuries and aches and pains that happen in my lower body. So I have knee issues. I have ankle issues. I just sprained my ankle like almost a month or two now, like maybe a month and a half, whatever now. And I still feel it. Like it's something I'm still recovering from. It's a lot better. I'm getting back into my squats now, but best squat, 405. Bench press, all-time best, like 350 ish. And then deadlift 550. Still working on that 600. So I'm stronger than most, but ain't the most incredibly strong person in the world. But the most important thing is I've built my strength from the ground up. I'm stronger than who I was before, and I've helped many other people achieve equal, if not better, strength numbers. So I personally don't rely on my squat, bench, and deadlift as a qualification, but at the same time, like I've been training for quite a while. And I'm happy with my numbers, but I also know that they will go up. As far as my goals, I do want to get to a 700-pound pull in my lifetime. I want to. So the first step to that is getting to 600, but 700 is the ultimate goal for deadlift. Maybe I'll go beyond that. For squats, I want to get to that 500 mark, and then 400 for 405 for my bench press. I want to do 405 for reps for my bench press, and then kind of just see where I go from there. Let's see. I'm a 30-year-old and I have 2 kids and a wife. If someone tries finding me, I'm just calling the cops and keeping space and in public. Yeah, just get out of there. The thing is, like, get away from the situation. Tell them don't follow me. That kind of stuff. Like, leave. Call the cops. Exactly. It might take them a while to get there. But here's the thing. Sometimes you just don't get that choice. Like, some people are just mad stupid. Like, I've seen that happen. I've been in similar situations where that happened. The difficult thing is, like, we're in the situation that I was in, like, they were substantially smaller than me, but they were also women. So I, being a 260-pound male, like with, a 260-pound male, like if I were to put hands on these these 5 foot like small women who were being incredibly violent, they were attacking, like I was able to stop them and everything, but I wasn't I couldn't throw hands with them. I just had to pick them up, push them away, that kind of stuff. Because some people just don't give you that option, like, unfortunately. But yeah, just get away. Like, you can always leave. Like, the only times where I feel like it's kind of necessary, or like where staying might be a good option, is maybe it's a home invasion, maybe you got kids in the home. Like, those are situations where running away is not really quite an option. Anywhere else though, like if I'm out in public, it's just like, you know what, I am just gonna leave. Like, there's nothing in here that's more important than the safety of myself or the people I love. So yeah, just leave. Like, call me whatever you want to call me. Like, I'm safe. I don't have to worry about legal stuff afterward either. Can't go to the gym at the moment, so I try to spar my 12-year-old sister every time. As vicious for no reason. Part of it is they just don't know how to control their power. Novices have a big issue with that, simply because they can't separate speed from power. So there's that. And then another thing too is just the nature of the sport, I guess you could say. Like, some people don't really know how to like do flow, flow sparring. Monkey bar every day, like nunchucks dope, and then she has the fire in her, most definitely. So let's get into some other questions. There was another question in here that said, is it possible to get as big as possible and be elite at boxing MMA? No, definitely not optimal, as someone in the comment section has pointed out, because like I said, size and strength are so closely related that you will get carryover from one another, whereas you're not going to get like muscular from boxing and MMA. You might get lean, you might build muscle if you just never done anything in your life, but it's not really going to be as effective or as optimal as this like conventional strength training and bodybuilding. But can you get as big as possible and be elite at boxing MMA? No, you would have to do one or the other first. Like, look, for example, Brock Lesnar, like, you might think of him, but at the same time, he's fucking Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of heavyweight guys who naturally set it that way, but for the most part, when it comes to their training camps, it's always going to be the same thing. They go into strength and conditioning phases, and then they have their phases where they're working on their skill, or more so, they kind of just bias one or the other. But anytime you're not working on your skill, you're not working on your skill. Like, I know that's the most unscientific thing to say, but it's really important to point out. Anytime you're not training like your skill set for boxing MMA, then that is not improving. Anytime you dedicate to lifting weights, it's taking away from that. So can you get as big as possible and be elite? No, most definitely not, because the person who has a better understanding of how to ebb and flow proper training principles for boxing MMA will do a lot better than someone who tries to maximize both. Reason why, like I said this many times today, powerbuilding kind of gets a pass because size and strength are the tools of bodybuilders and powerlifters. So concurrent training can work, but because they're just so closely related. But let's say marathon training and powerlifting, totally different. Brazilian jiu-jitsu and bodybuilding, completely different. Anytime you're doing one, you're not doing the other, because like there's a skill component to it. Obviously, there's a skill component to lifting, but really, like, the skill component to lifting is a couple months at most. So can you optimize both and get as big as possible and be elite? No. If anything, you get as big as possible first, and then see where boxing MMA kind of takes you, because or vice versa. Get really, really elite, and then you train. Let's see. I was thinking of starting Muay Thai or boxing. Thoughts on which one to start with? I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for boxing. But I have to be completely honest. Boxing has some major issues. First and foremost, you're limiting yourself to your hands. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Most knockouts come from the hands. Most fights end with the hands. And with boxing, you are going to be hyper specialized with your striking, with your hands, right? Your punching. With boxing, you're also going to have really good like range when it comes to your hands and whatnot. Take a shot every time I say hands. But here's the thing. Muay Thai has answers to a lot of situations that boxing typically doesn't, or at least doesn't get talked about that much. In boxing, there is the clinch, but it's not nearly as, it's very, it's used differently, and it doesn't last nearly as long. In Muay Thai, you learn the clinch. You learn how to kind of like get tangled up with someone, kind of grapple a little bit on the feet, and then do some trips and sweeps. Another thing too is that when it comes to Muay Thai, like, you have longer range weapons, your legs. So there's a benefit to that there. And there's pros and cons with both. So what I typically recommend is do Muay Thai, but have an emphasis on the boxing. I know that's a cop-out answer, but it's the answer that I'm the most comfortable with, because for the most part, like, if you are really, really good at striking, if you are really good at stand-up, you can keep someone away regardless of what you do. Now, here's the other thing. And here's why I say do Muay Thai with an emphasis on boxing. If you are just a boxer going against a boxer, you guys kind of know what the rules are. You kind of know what to expect. You're not really like doing all that kind of stuff. But here's my thing. I personally prefer to spar with guys who do Muay Thai than boxing, because I, as someone who prefers to do boxing, need to know where my boxing is not going to help me and how I need to modify and adjust things. So, I do need to know how to check kicks. I do need to know like what things to be mindful for, and what reflexes to build up, and what cues to look into when I'm sparring against them to know when to push in and kind of smother their kicks and whatnot. And it doesn't always work, but it's a skill you're not going to get or pick up from just going against more and more boxers. Because nowadays, because MMA is so popular, you're not just going against boxing. It's not just boxing versus boxing out there in the streets anymore. And then also, if you're thinking about starting between the two, yeah, Muay Thai, because you're gonna learn how to strike pretty well. A lot of Muay Thai guys nowadays have really good hands, so you're gonna learn how to strike really well. Then you're also going to learn things that are not going to be. You're gonna learn how to be in situations that boxers typically don't get into. So someone grabs you, if someone tries to grab you and everything like that, right? You learn how to do elbows and knees and strike with more than just your hands, which is going to be very useful. How would you go about making a strength and conditioning program for MMA? I would do probably something very similar to conjugate. And really it's just kind of a matter of general strength training, some like specific bodybuilding work, and then the rest is just conditioning. Conditioning can help, but the thing is, like, any isolation work that I would throw in is solely for the purpose of, like, injury prevention and just like being a bit more robust. But for the most part, it's like going to be focused on big heavy hitters, strength progression, and then just kind of going out of the gym there. The thing is, like, I don't want to take someone outside of their weight class. I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to make it difficult for them to get back into their weight class either by having too much muscle. So strength training, there is an argument to be made that strength training, especially done in certain ways, isn't the most optimal for hypertrophy, and that's kind of perfect for them because hypertrophy is not necessarily the goal. Being bigger and stronger is always going to be a help for the average person, but if you are a competitive person in MMA, you have to kind of balance that out with what weight you're fighting at, and stuff like that, right? So frequency, rep ranges, and intensity. Frequency, either full body, maybe an upper lower. So hitting things no more than twice a week. That can go down as you get closer to a fight, because as you get closer to a fight, strength and conditioning should be put on maintenance, and then your priority should be your skill set, and then kind of vice versa in your off season. Rep ranges, I would recommend a variety of different rep ranges, but going through your strength training stuff, so that 3 to 6 range, and then doing some light isolations, just like maybe one exercise per muscle group, not every day, but just like spread across the program in that 10 to 20 range, just to strengthen up those joints and whatnot. So that's kind of how I go about it. I know that's very unscientific. I will be making a program in the future for it. But yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, there's something I'm probably missing. Let's see. Anti-dog owner club. That's really good. Like, let's see. Rip burglars. Let's see. YH, also a novice. I can't separate speed from power either. Well, one way I try to is by just flicky arm punches versus twisting my hip into it. I think it might be a bad habit. So with this, right? Done accidentally, it's a mistake. Done on purpose, it's a technique. So when you do flicky arm punches, whatnot, right? If that's all you know how to do, I would argue that's a bad habit, and that's a mistake. Like flicky arm punches and things that are like outside the conventional means of striking. So your 1-2, your jab, your cross, things that you add in on top of that, like the jabber cut or like a lead cross, if you know what I'm talking about. Those are things you add on top of already good fundamentals. And sometimes, yes, you need to, for example, like let's say, for example, they are too close into your range. You can't turn your hip over and get full power into the punch. So what do? You sit down into your kick because you need to create a little bit of distance and to land a kick, appropriately with like what you're trying to aim for. So it just kind of depends on the situation of the spar, and that's why sparring is so important. Let's see. Have a good stack. Let's see. How do I fix early knee lockout in the deadlift? Let's see. Early knee lockout in the deadlift. That's a great question. That's so okay. When it comes to early knee lockout, there's a couple things that I would go about it, right? Remove your knees. No. Pause deadlifts, I think, would actually be really good here. Because and also maybe like slowing down your reps a bit, or even doing things like Romanian deadlifts, or stiff leg deadlifts even. Now, why stiff leg deadlifts? Like, isn't the issue early knee lockout? So why would I want to have my knees locked out already? Like, first and foremost, it's to really just isolate that hinge mechanic, because really it's just like you're not really connecting with that portion of the lift because the hinge component is still there. Like, you're just like, so slowing it down with the pause, right? That could be useful because I'm assuming if you early knee lockout is an issue, that kind of means you're kind of rushing the lift. So if that is the case, just implementing a pause and being mindful of each motion, kind of going about it, that's one way. How heavy are you going? Sometimes, like in an effort to put on more weight on the bar, thinking that's going to get us bigger, we sacrifice our form. That's an issue also that could be affecting you. And then when it comes to Romanian deadlifts and stuff like deadlifts, you're just learning how to hinge, knowing where to hinge, so that way you can start implementing it into your deadlift, because the hinge component just seems to be lacking. And also upper back, work on your upper back. Like do your rows. Like if you are trying to live, like, you're relying solely on your deadlift, or solely relying on lower body for your deadlift, and not having any upper back tightness, any like rigidity in your upper body, then yeah, you're probably going to lock out a bit early. Let's see. Do I like iced tea? Love iced tea. 1 second. So let's see. I answered that question. All right, looks like, yeah, that was all the questions from the community post. So I'll be here for maybe another 5-10-ish minutes, or maybe I'll just go for the full hour. But yeah, future physique goals. So that's a great question. And then I do like iced tea. Lemon tea is the best. I usually go to the Japanese market near me because they have like a 0 calorie, like, because it's literally just tea and lemon. Like they don't put anything else in there. And then and then brisk, pretty good. Oh, sorry, I missed that story. In our old neighborhood, someone broke into our yard to try and steal our lawnmower. Interesting. Poor Robert had his leg shred, and the police said that they had a warrant for this guy too. Oh, rough. Like, hey, glad your dog actually defended you. There's like, I think it's funny when I see those videos of dogs who like don't defend their owners and don't defend where they live. And then let's see, Aiden Werner, future physique goals. So there's a couple ideas when it comes to my physique. So let's see, what was his name again? Oh yeah. So let's see. Let's go here. Up, share screen. Let's see, share screen. Don't show these steps again. All right, let's go here. There we go. This guy. I don't know if you guys know where this is from. I think the anime is incredibly weird, as you can probably notice by me clicking on this. But as far as like physique goals, this is my physique goal. Like, abnormally huge upper body, so incredibly lacking lower body. That's my physique goal. Let's see. So there's also another picture that I kind of like. It's of Sebum. I like how, like, if you look him up, he just kind of pops up. But there's an image of Sebum, right? I do like his physique. I like how it, like, I do appreciate his physique and whatnot. There we go. Bulked up bear mode Sebum. that's something I would say. Like, to me, that's good enough. Of course, the thing is, like, I don't really like using like real people too much, as like your ideal physique, because how you develop, how you grow is going to be incredibly different. And just trying to like look like another human being is kind of weird. So I would actually prefer more like this. So, but yeah, I prefer that hulking look, to be honest. Which is why like I'm not super um into getting incredibly lean or things of that nature, because I feel like for this to have this size naturally, I feel like you would need to have higher body fat. Now, with the body fat I have right now, I think I'm at a healthy point for the most part. I mean, given like the amount of like when I go to my physicals and whatnot. But when it comes to being healthy long term, I would be a lot healthier if I was a little leaner. But like I said, for me, that point is that 15 to 20% range. And I think that if I could just maintain at a really nice, healthy 18-20%, that's enough for me. And I would just go from there, and just keep building muscle, keep building strength. Let's see. But yeah, Broly is a great example of my future physique goals, and Gamakuri too, just because of that. But yeah, like that bear mode look. Let's see. Favorite video games. For the longest time, I played almost exclusively Dynasty Warriors and Skyrim. That was it. Lately, I've been playing a lot more and Call of Duty. I was a Call of Duty kid growing up. I also played a lot of Counter-Strike, like CS:GO, with all my friends. Great game. Miss it a lot. There's nothing really like it. I think Counter-Strike is one of the best ever, but I'm just not as good as the people who play it. And my friends, like, they were competitive. They were like ranked globally. So could I hang with them? Kind of. Some games I would get like 0 frags, at least for the first half. Sometimes even the whole game. And other games I would just pop off and like kind of be a staple piece to to them. I wasn't holding them down. I was just like not matching them, like, because they were like I said, globally ranked. But it was just more so I wasn't holding them down. I was like contributing to the wins and whatnot. And then so Counter-Strike Go, Dynasty Warriors, Skyrim. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires. What are some other all-time greats? I do like a lot of fighting games, which is like your next question. Soul Calibur, which I'm sure you'll appreciate because of your HEMA appreciation. So Soul Calibur is one of my favorite ones. I like Tekken a lot growing up, but Soul Calibur is my favorite one. I'm thinking about getting into Street Fighter, just because the Street Fighter 6 looks mad dope, and you can guess why. But anyway, yeah, there's not Mortal Kombat out of all the other like more striking based martial arts. Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur are my two favorites. Let's see. Kind of unrelated, but my girlfriend is a bit of a games goblin. In what way? And then for like, I'm not trying to be a simp or nothing, but I just want to kind of figure out, because sometimes do you let them know you're going to the gym? Like, do you take them out as frequently as you go to the gym? Maybe that's what they just need. Maybe they just feel a little underappreciated. Do you ask them about their day and whatnot? So obviously take care of yourself, do what's important to you, but that's not really a reason to also not take care of the person you've decided to be in a relationship with. So letting them know what is important to you is of a crucial importance. And I don't think that's where the issue comes from. It's just kind of an issue of like, are you also letting them know that they're important as well? So are you setting aside time for them also? Are you planning things? Are you as meticulous in your planning for the time you spend with your girlfriend as you are with your workout program? These are things that you can ask yourself. Because the thing is, like, we can't really change anything about them, but we can only change ourselves. So, and if they do mean something to us, like we love them and whatnot, then there is a certain level of change that we should be okay with, as long as it doesn't like fundamentally change who we are and what we go from. So if she keeps you from going to the gym, which so like you say later, if she's actively keeping you from going to the gym, take her with you. That's one thing you can do. Take her with you. If and I'm not gonna give like too much relationship advice because I don't know the full situation, but just be a bit mindful. Be aware of what you should do. Still tell her assertively and in a positive way how important training is to yourself. Otherwise, maybe she's not for you. We're clear sometimes. Yeah, that's one way of going about things for sure. Let's see. Street Fighter 6 Ryu is probably someone's goal physique. Almost definitely, dude. Like, also here's a controversial take. Look, the best looking Ryu is from Super Smash Bros. um, and Ken too. Like when Ken had his banana hair, that was just sad. Once we've been together for a long time, you both respect each other's space. Take that from me. Married for 6 years now. Yeah, it's all about finding what works for your relationship. All right, so caught up on the chat. I think I didn't miss anything. So like I said, I got about 5-ish more minutes. If you have any more questions, like I'll stick around for a little bit more. Got some things I want to do today. Gotta help out at work, and then let's see. I am incredibly tired. I did not get a good night's sleep last night. So I might either push my workout later into the day, or I might go to the gym right now. It's probably the better idea is to just go to the gym right now, get it out the way. But maybe I'll just go back to sleep and then work out after. Let's see. I'm still playing Skyrim after all these years. Yeah, dude, it's like you can get lost in that game, man. Just sink hours into it. It's one of the best games ever. Like, not because it's the best made game. It's most definitely not. Bugs are a feature in Bethesda games, but just because you can get lost in it, man. Like I feel like I'm having a great time when I play it. It's super dangerous for me to play it though, which is why I play it a lot less now. Because I will literally spend 8 hours modding it and 8 hours playing it. So that's too much. So I don't no, I just wanted a Buster sword, like some new quests because I've just beat that game so much. But anyway, but yeah, it's just a great game. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on like fighting, martial arts, and anything like that? Or for you guys watching, or is that something you want to add in? Honestly, one of the I'm very I joke about why I do things sometimes. One of the jokes that I say, and there's some truth to the jokes. I hate running, so that's why I like doing like MMA and boxing for the conditioning purpose because it's a great workout. But at the same time, I don't box exclusively for fitness. I wouldn't even say I box for fitness. It's just a benefit. Yeah, exactly. And I just I don't really have the time for that anymore. I wish I did. Completely, to be honest with you, I wish I did. But nowadays, I have to be a bit more mindful of my time management, which I'm not even that good at, being completely straight up. So, gotta work on that. I think martial arts content on this channel will be great. Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I think so too because this is, I don't want to get too political or nothing, but they're like those stand your ground laws. Like I know it's really cheesy and corny, but hey, the name of this channel, it kind of applies. But yeah, I do want to start covering that kind of stuff because I want to enjoy my channel. I want to enjoy making content, and also it's something that I do offer as a service. I do teach boxing, I do teach some striking, so it's something that I do like. Let's see. Big MMA and martial arts fan, along with being a powerlifting Noble Natty channel enjoyer. You're kind of a bridge between the two. That would be awesome, actually. That's something I was thinking about because here's my thing. I think a lot of guys who do martial arts, they don't spend enough time with strength and conditioning. And then a lot of the guys who, with the exception of wrestlers, holy shit, if you are a wrestler, holy shit, you got it down. If you teach a wrestler how to throw a couple punches and a couple kicks, he's gonna fuck you up. I mean, look at Khabib. And my favorite fighter of all time, Kazushi Sakuraba. If you teach, if you get bigger and stronger, it's only going to benefit you. This idea that you're going to get slower as a result of you getting bigger, nah, it doesn't really pan out that way. Because for one, you're probably not getting that big because your activity is still incredibly high. You're adding another form of high activity or high impact activity to your body that you need to recover from and burn a shit ton of calories from, on top of your already sport specific cardiovascular training and skill training. So you're not going to get that big. And also a lot of guys who are very serious about their fighting, they typically not to eat that much. So you're not going to get that big. And here's the thing. I spar with guys many times lower, many times below my weight class. And I can still I can still mix them up. I can still like, slip, get out the way, and like do head movement and like move out and like all that kind of stuff, like get them mixed up with my footwork and whatnot. So it is not an issue to get too big. So being a bridge between the two, that would be awesome, because like I said, a lot of guys who do martial arts would benefit from just being fitter. Like, and being fitter, like one of the best ways to be fitter is just have more muscle. Most important muscles to strengthen for punching and kicking. I would say, here's my thing. I would honestly just say like overall explosiveness more than anything else. So I would make an argument for power cleans, deadlifts, squats, benching, overhead pressing, the big basic compounds. The big basic compounds are universal for basically any athletic endeavor, just because they develop the full body. There's no isolation exercise to make you better at punching. I'll just say that. If anything, there's just isolation exercises to help you recover from your training better. But that's about it. There's no isolation exercise for that. Like calves, maybe that's the great example, like a good example though, because with calves, it won't necessarily make you better. I wouldn't necessarily makes you like more powerful with your kicks, but it makes you so much more like injury resistant that it'll just take care of you. So yeah, do your calves. If you do any type of sport, running, wrestling, whatever, train your calves. I just think that there's no reason not to. It just helps you stay healthy down there. Yeah, definitely agree. There's definitely this bad idea in martial arts that being stronger makes you clunky and a worse fighter. Wrestlers definitely the exception. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of like the biggest exception too. Because I mean, like, look, what is wrestling? It's one of the most explosive sports out there, and these guys are fucking jacked and ripped, and it only benefits you. So and then we can definitely glean from that. I mean, look at guys like GSP, like incredible physique, but his training wasn't oriented towards that. He was doing a lot of gymnastics work. Like it was just good stuff there. But yeah, he wasn't slow. He wasn't clunky. So yeah, let's see. You versus The Rock, who would win MMA style? Let's go. How big is The Rock? Like, isn't he like, he and I, like, I think we weigh pretty similarly, like around that 250, 260 mark. And I think he's like 6'3-ish, maybe up to 6'5". I don't know. He got that Samoan genes in him too, which incredibly powerful, incredibly big. So I don't know. I like MMA style. Like, I don't know if he does do that kind of stuff. I mean, I know he does it as part of his acting, but I don't know if he actually trains in it. 275? Yeah, he's 275 of like, he's 275 and like, my nose is whistling. He's 275 and like significantly more muscular than me. So that'll be an issue. MMA style, he also has a wrestling background. So if he takes me down, like, what am I going to do against that, So I would say The Rock, like, being completely honest. Would I fight people though? Like, would I like want to do like some sparring rounds with some people? Yeah, sure. But mostly for fun. I'm not trying to like prove that I'm like amazing or nothing. Like I said, that's not why I pick up martial arts or why I pick up fighting. It's not what I do it for. But it would be fun just to kind of like, I like having more training partners. So there's that. But yeah, went a little bit over. Going to cut the stream here. Really do appreciate everyone coming through. I hope that it was useful to those who left a question in the community post. I hope it was interesting to those who have decided to tune in. If you guys are interested in martial arts and everything like that, and you are in the Las Vegas area, I would highly recommend training at Syndicate MMA. In my opinion, it's one of the best mixed martial arts gyms in the world. So I would definitely recommend training there. But the most important thing is just go to a martial arts school that is close by, treats you with respect, and is affordable. If they meet those three criteria, and Syndicate does do that for some people, like the most important thing is just proximity out of all that three things, because they are very respectful and it is pretty affordable in relationship to all other programs in the area. But those are the three biggest criteria when it comes to picking which martial art you pick up: boxing, Muay Thai, Judo, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Doesn't really matter. Pick one and go from there. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really had a great time talking with you guys. I'm incredibly tired. I'm going to make a decision of what to do next. But have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week.